All right.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. And this is American Pie THF with Allison Price here again. And we are continuing on our self-sufficient sustainability. It's only taken me 3 videos to let that roll off of my
That
tongue.
that rolled right off. That was
It
great.
did. It did. It's like you got to practice, right? And so today's topic, we're going to do our best to stay on topic. We're both very passionate about this subject. So we'll have to reel each other in if we start going way off. But today's topic is kind of first aid at home. Now, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but we both look at first aid at home as being empowered with some tools and some knowledge and a little trust with ourselves to assess situations that go on in our home. Allison can definitely speak to you about also, she has to do this with children. It's just adults and dogs in our house. And we do this for our pets as well. Okay. Not just people. So again, baby steps, you start wherever you have to. I didn't bring my animals into play and giving them a more plant-based medical approach until after me and my husband had practiced it for several years and then felt okay to extend it then to my animal family. So it's going to mean different things to different people, but there are things that happen to all of us all the time that, and Allison's got a couple great recent stories to talk about, but things that can occur in your household that could use immediate attention, acute situations. Okay. We could get into a whole nother video about chronic situations when we have disease processes going on and how to prevent or how to maintain or how to reverse. So that, again, we're always about, that could be another video, but acute things. So you get burnt, you get stung, somebody falls down, somebody gets a bloody nose, somebody cuts themselves, somebody has food poisoning, some kind of allergic reaction that is not anaphylactic shock. Okay, so let us be clear. We don't, if your breathing stops, these are the times that even we would seek medical attention outside of our homes. Okay, if a limb is falling off, we're going to seek medical attention outside of our homes. But for the most part, we're going to do our damnedest to address and care for in our homes before we do that. Okay. So, and the reason I think this video is also important right now, and this is a trend I'm seeing, and I think as I start to talk about it, I know Allison's going to have seen it, and I'm imagining most of you have too. And if you haven't, pay attention. The thing I began to notice that I thought was very odd in the past 2.5 years is for people to be sick, supposedly sick with something that was unusual, even though it seemed to have the same symptoms of other things that we've all had in the past. Your doctor wouldn't see you. A lot of people were not welcome to actually go to the doctor. You had to do a telemed visit. Okay. I thought that was strange.
To me makes zero sense.
Yeah, very, very strange. So now I'm just going to look at my patient via video or call them up on the telephone, and I'm going to diagnose them. And then I'm going to call in a prescription. Now it's okay for them to walk into the drugstore to pick the prescription up, but don't come into my office. I'm the person who did an oath to do no harm, but I'm not going to see you. Okay. People that were shied away from actually going to the hospital for anything other than this situation. Again, these things were odd. I thought they were odd as they were occurring. But if you've noticed, I think you're beginning to see more and more television commercials, advertisements, whatever, that now you can do just about anything when it comes to your health and well-being and your medical care via telephone. You can.
Which, can I just say, how
Please.
can you diagnose a skin condition via a telephone visit with your doctor? Because this was a recent this was a recent thing in my wheelhouse that I came across, and I was like, that makes absolutely no sense.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this to that. having been somebody who's been in the skincare industry for a really long time, my treatment of my clients and patients always held more weight when I worked for or with a physician versus when I was a solo practitioner. Okay. Because I don't have an MD behind my name or a DO or whatever. So if I was associated with a physician, I could have told my clients to rub shit on their faces and they would have been like, okie dokie, because that's,
Yep.
yeah, that's what it was. As I moved out of those realms and was on my own, I'm not positive that that was so much. My word did not hold as much weight or value anymore. What I'm coming to discover, I think, in these past 2.5 years, and let's go with a skin condition, definitely. Well, I know I'm going to piss some people off, but here we are. You know, we were told in the beginning as people like you and I came out and started to speak about these topics or how people could maybe self-diagnose or self-treat themselves. You're not a scientist. You're not a doctor. You're not a this. You're not a that.
Yeah.
I can probably say now with great confidence, so effing what?
Yeah.
What that means for me is I don't have a lot of debt that I'll expect the rest of you to pay for.
That by learning science that's been bought and paid for.
Yeah. So I can read the same books as somebody who's a doctor. I can look at the same research papers. The sad fact of the matter for me is I'm watching one of the most highly educated group of people, watching them once they have that title, their education seems to be stopping. They're not continuing to educate themselves. Whereas that's the difference between you and I. I am educating myself on a myriad of topics, especially right now, on a daily basis. Okay?
Amen.
So I'm not claiming to know everything, but I know a little about a lot, and I can go through the same avenues and regurgitate the same information as somebody wearing a white coat right now. So I feel like some of them, especially in certain fields, are losing credibility and viability moving. I just do.
I think I said that, I might have said this to you before, and I don't remember exactly how I said it, but it was something along the lines of the medical advice of the future that people are going to seek out are coming from people who have been in that situation, or no, I know what it was. It was, we are going to seek out the medical professionals that have been banned from the boards, that have been, sued and had their practices taken away because they chose to question what the textbook taught them. And I think that goes back to what you just said, is where they stop learning, they stop their education as soon as they get those letters behind their name. And heaven forbid you question something you were taught in your schooling that goes against what you were taught, or that goes against your narrative. And so over the last 2 years, for me, it has become very clear that if you were in the medical field and you were booted from it, sign me up. I want to see you. You are the one that I want to talk to.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I really do. It still rings in my head as this all unfolded a few years ago, and you and I were kind of talking about uncertain times and what the heck's going on. And you said to me that the people like you and I, the people that valued, again, I'm trying not to use the word alternative anymore because I don't believe that to be the fact, but more plant-based, well care, health care, we would be better on the other side of this than anybody else. And to me, it gets proven more and more every day. So
I just want to keep saying amen as you talk.
I know. It's like, and I'm like, And so that's not too late for other people who haven't been on this ride as long as we have. It's
Sure.
anybody can jump on and start to make changes. That's what
Yeah.
this series has been about.
Yep.
And even for you and I know we've done this in increments as well. You know, we didn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel everything's becoming that you can do it via telephone. You can order medications. You could diagnose yourself with depression and talk to somebody on the telephone that can help you get those meds. You can get your skin care. You can send in a test for colon cancer. You know, you can send a fecal sample through the mail. You can send a blood thing through the mail. So let me ask you this question, okay? If that's the way it's going, how the hell do you know as the consumer that I'm not answering those questions on the other end of that? How do you know that?
Just like all those fact checkers, right?
Yeah, how do you know? You're still under the assumption that those things are being looked at, or you're talking to a board certified something, and that somehow is giving you comfort and peace when you're doing this. How do you know that?
Do you know what this makes me think of? So I have a telehealth or whatever they call it. I don't even know what I'm calling for, right? But anytime you go to the doctor, and maybe I'm wrong because I don't go very often, knock on wood. Isn't that protocol for them to be checking your vitals? Is that just not something that they should automatically be doing anytime you're seeing a doctor in an office, right?
Yeah, listen to your heart.
Now that we're doing telehealth conferences, did you want me to go ahead and do that for you? Should I be getting my own blood pressure pumps and thermometers? And, you know, maybe I should just go ahead and get that schooling too, because just like when I go into Walmart, which I don't go to because I for many reasons, but you know, anymore you see it
video.
you see it at all of these retail big box stores. You know, now you're your own cashier and you're your own grocery bagger. Now I want to talk to my doctor and I'm my own goddamn nurse, taking all my own vitals before I get on the phone with my doctor. Like, this makes me so crazy.
And they're not charging you any less. Your insurance, if you have it, isn't going down in price, not to pay for a brick and mortar building that you walk into.
This makes me so neurotic. I can't even, I don't know if I can have this discussion. It's me so crazy.
Okay, we're going to have to call this video today and we're going to have to start over.
I'm going to need something on the rocks. Hello, somebody, please.
We should have had this conversation at night where it would have been okay to be drinking wine.
Hey, anything's okay in my day, right?
That's right. 4 more minutes and it's noon, you know?
It makes me so crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, that's where we're at, I think. So whether you see what I'm saying or not, that's your choice. But maybe some of this will begin to ring true as we continue to keep moving through this, because I don't know. I honestly, even if this comes out on we move through this and we're someplace of a lot better than we are right now. Okay. And I do believe we're heading that way. I think what we are seeing is the collapse of a lot of these systems. I really do. I know that's hard for some, but that is the point of some of the stuff we're going through right now, is because they are no longer going to exist as we once knew them. So
we had to take the last 2 years like a wildfire that just swept through and burned everything that is not serving our higher purpose.
Yeah.
Be done with it.
Yes, absolutely. So to me, that means we are going to be accountable, responsible for taking care of ourselves. And you know what that means? That means we are going to have to take care of ourselves so that we're a little better, in a better health situation, so we don't even need some of this stuff moving forward, or as often as we need. So
yes,
we are going to have to do this, people. We're going to have to. So you might as well take some little baby steps now.
You're going to have to learn to trust yourself more. Nobody knows you better than you.
That's right.
And I tell people this all the time. And as a mother, I feel like the same goes for my kids. Nobody knows my kids better than themselves and their mother and their father. You know, it's like, if you feel like you're getting sick, or, you know, like you have certain things that happen within you and you're like, oh shoot, there's my first red flag. I got some kind of crud or cootie. It's time to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, why do I need to go to a stranger to tell me that the tickle in my throat, I just, like, are you following me here? People need to trust themselves more. We've given away so much of our own personal freedoms, and that we feel like we need to turn to somebody with a title to give us an answer for everything and anything under the sun, whether it's, you know, physical, mental, spiritual, financial, whatever. And yes, there are people here that can serve as great guides for us, but we need to go back to trusting ourselves more. I mean, nobody knows you better than you.
Okay, so all right, you're saying all those things, and I'm like, yes, we've had a little bit of programming, a little bit of
A little bit.
yeah, brainwashing, but at the same time, okay, let's just look at this. If I'm supposed to go to a stranger, or, you know, maybe it's been your lifelong doctor, I'm not saying that, but why, and I keep meaning to look up this statistic, why now are pharmaceutical drugs advertised to you and me? And why can I now walk into a doctor's office and say, I saw a commercial, or I have a friend who's using XYZ, and I think it sounds like it's for me based on ABC. And the doctor says, I don't think it'll hurt you. Let me write that prescription for you. Again, you're doing their job for them. Yeah, why is it being advertised to you and I if we're not doctors, we're not scientists, we're not researchers? Why?
I can't handle this topic today.
Well,
that's a damn good question, Tonya.
You know what? Maybe this is part A.
I was gonna say
series 3, and we'll get our rants out, and then we can come back in another video and address the ranting.
This is your food for thought. Oh my gosh. But I mean, honestly though, and you know, because we are questioning, we're the crazy people, you know, but the people who sit in front of the tube, listen to the programming, take it to the person with the initials behind their name and say, I saw this, this is what I need, and here you go, have a great day. They're not crazy. They're walking around like The Walking Dead. And I've never even watched that show, but I could just imagine it's probably similar. But those of us that, you know, we're thinking a little bit, we're using our brain, heaven forbid. My gosh.
Yeah. She's gonna fan herself. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm gonna get real heated about this.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it up to you if you have some other things you would like to add on this topic, and come back to actual solutions, or where do
well, let's roll into solutions, because some of my stories can probably pop up with solutions. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from what we've just ranted on is it is okay to think. It is okay to ask questions. It's okay to question the narrative. You're not always going to make a lot of friends doing it. So you're going to have to grow a backbone, and you're going to have to be content with yourself. But you also, if you're continually surrounded by people who are going to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, like beat you down because you're questioning these things, then you need to surround yourself with different people. And I speak from experience. I've taken so many hits, especially over I would say the last 12-ish years, because of the way that I look at things, the way I question things, because of the things I don't do. And some of them have been people close to me, very close, you know. You just got to move on. you have to do what you feel is right for you. You have to follow your intuition. It's there for a reason. If you're questioning something, follow that through until you feel content with whatever answer you've come up with. Critical thinking, right? I guess that's my bottom line here. It's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to think. Play some devil's advocate. There's no harm there. End of the day, you maybe get an answer that you weren't looking for, but just yeah, I guess people need to grow into their own a little bit more and feel a little bit more comfortable in asking those questions. And like we said, it's a process. You start it in one spot and you move along. You can't overhaul your whole life in one day. It's just not going to work.
No, and I think we've seen, and I think you were tapping on a little bit, we've seen almost in every avenue in our life, there is an expert that knows more than us that we are to go to, we're to pay, we're to, they're going to assist you, they're whatever. And I watched a pretty moving video. Again,
am I going to have to add this to my list?
Well, yeah, you are, but it is a 90. It's a gentleman that's he's ex-military, and he's flat out, besides talking about a lot of other crazy and obvious things that are going on outside of this topic, he breaks down in the middle of his discussion and has a rant about how complacent and ignorant and all that, and a lot of this stuff is out there and available for all of us if we would just open a book.
Oh, heck yeah.
If we would just look at something, if we would just go research this for a second. Like, nobody's saying you got to go get a degree. You don't have to be able to eloquently speak on the entire topic, but we've been dumbed down. Now, whether somebody else has done it or we've chosen to go with it, it's happened. So this has been a time, I think, really for breaking free of some of that. I mean, I'm watching supposed educated people. I mean,
yeah, it's a lot of brainwashing and dumbed down. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I feel like I've used this phrase a lot lately, but you got to grow a spine, and it's not for the faint of heart to question. I mean, you and I, just in our own lifetimes, this brainwashing has been present in every moment. And so you're looking at a lifetime of questioning what you've known your whole life, right? Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you feel the same. I feel like for me, I've always kind of been the one, even as a young child, where it's like, but why does it have to be like that? Who says? I don't care who says. I don't care who they are, what their title is, So maybe it's maybe where we're at now, because we have just been those kinds of people. But for a lot of people, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to grow a spine and be very comfortable with yourself to move forward.
You have to thicken your skin a little bit here.
Yes,
a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
And the other thing is too, I think that's helpful, is to know that no matter how you're made to feel, you're not alone. You're not alone.
Never. You just got to find the right people.
That's right. That's right.
And you know what? When you speak your truth, those people are going to appear. If you continue to not stand firm in your beliefs and in your thought processes and questioning things and whatever, if you continue to, put on this mask and appease people for the sake of their beliefs and whatever, then you are always going to come up against, what's the word I'm looking for? The resistance. You're never going to find the people that accept you, and that you're cliche, but you're never going to find your tribe. If you are not being true to you, you're never going to get there. You're never going to get to where you're trying to be.
I don't think you ever get truly into your own power or potential either.
No, never, which would be horribly sad.
Yeah, very much so. very much so. So if moving on to some, we do want to provide you with some immediate solutions to acute situations.
Yes.
Why don't you said you were just telling me that you've had a recent instance.
I did.
And
Yes.
so, yeah, I think a lot of times most people relate more to a story, something probably they've experienced before. So let's just start there.
All right. So Friday, I got stung by something. Don't know what, assuming some kind of bee, wasp, something with a stinger. I don't think it was a spider. I was just cleaning my horse stalls. I had my muck boots on, so they go up my calf. Didn't hear anything buzzing, didn't see anything, and just all of a sudden felt the sting. So I'm like, yeesh, okay, that hurts. Checked for a stinger, didn't see a stinger, went about my day, came in the house, applied some essential oils that I would apply for a sting, some lavender, some frankincense. And by the end of the evening, I started to have pain in my foot. And this has been a reoccurring issue with me. I also got my first honeybee hive this year, so I've been stung a few times. And every time I get stung, it's a process of a few days. It's painful, it gets hard, it bruises, it's just not fun. And so there's been some concerns by some of my loved ones that I may be allergic, I should get an EpiPen, I need to be extra careful. And yes, and that's all well and good. And I understand that because anaphylactic shock is not okay. And like you mentioned earlier, that's going to be something you're going to need to go seek out some professional help for. But by Saturday morning, the next day, when I got out of bed, I could not even walk. The pain in my foot was horrible. My foot was 10 times the size of what it should normally be. I mean, no joke, it was disgusting. And I had a lot of people saying, cancel your day. You need to sit on the couch. You can't do anything. And you need to go to the doctor. You better go to the ER. And this is where I had to have my spine intact and my tough skin suit on and say, I'm okay. I know what I need to do here. I don't feel that going to the ER is going to do anything for me right now than further frustrations. Why would I want to sit there for hours on end to see a doctor that's going to tell me something that I already know, or is going to just automatically prescribe me something that I undoubtedly probably won't take? So we're just going to wait this out. And as I was telling you before we hit record, I went about my day and I really did nothing different other than when I needed to get up. It took me an extra minute to kind of adjust my foot and get it feeling in such a way that as I started walking, I kind of walked through the pain and then it went away. And when I was sitting down, I kept it elevated sometimes. I did put a little bit ice on it. But other than that, I mean, today is what, Wednesday. So we're like 5 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days since I've been stung. And I think I'm almost close to normal with the way that my foot looks. The pain's gone, but the whole weekend was, no bueno. I mean, it was disgusting looking, it hurt. And for me, I just went with my intuition. I did what I knew I needed to do. I use certain essential oils that I know help with circulation and movement, some lemongrass, some cypress. I was using the lavender and the frankincense on the sting specifically, where the sting was. And I moved, like we were discussing before the recording. I didn't just stay stationary. And my husband was one who was like, we need to cancel our plans. You need to sit and put your leg up all day. And I didn't. I mean, yeah, when I was sitting, I elevated it sometimes, but I kept doing what I needed to do. I was not going to allow that to cancel my day. I gauged on how I was feeling. And I used tools in my toolkit that I knew were going to help assist. And that's it. I went about my life. I didn't detour to the ER. I didn't turn this into some chaotic, oh my God, we've got to go. Look what happened to me, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like when you live through these instances, every time you're going to come out a little bit stronger and a little more confident to continue you on the path of following your inner knowing, listening to your body, know what you need, what you need to do for yourself. And you had mentioned about, drinking a lot of water, flushing things out of my system that, were harboring that needed to be flushed out. And that's probably the one thing I didn't think about doing, is being extra conscious about drinking large amounts of water, putting some lemon oil in there. But other than that, I mean, that was my most recent instance. I have plenty of stories that I can share, but actually I will tell you. Okay, so one more story. My children had to have sports physicals, and honestly, it's the first one they've had, and I don't even know how long, but whatever. So we went and we just had a sports physical done. It's basically like checking vitals and whatever. And they checked their hearing, and my daughter
did you do that in person, or was that a telemed thing?
Yeah, no, we did it in person, because I'll be damned. No.
Okay.
So, but God. So my daughter did not pass her hearing test, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So they wanted to come back and check her in a month. So we went Monday to have her hearing rechecked again. We went in person, and she failed it again. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? Because I know you can hear me at home. And so I think it was a nurse practitioner. I don't even know. And I'm like, because she said, we're going to have to refer you to an ENT, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's all well and good, but why we're here, somehow in the conversation, something had come up about earwax and whatever. And my daughter's like, my ear kind of does hurt a little bit. And so I said, you know what, while we're here, can you just look in her ears? Because mind you, we're here for a hearing test. And they didn't even look in her ears. Like, they just stuck the little whatever thing that makes beeping noises and asked her to raise her hand when she heard a beep. They didn't even actually look in her ear. So I said, mind just doing that? And of course it was like, yeah, but if I find something, but this appointment was just for a hearing test, I'm like, whatever, with all your legalities, just look in the damn kid's ears. It'll take you 5 seconds.
This is supposed to be a medical professional that administered the hearing test?
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
So lo and behold, they look in her ears and they're completely jammed with earwax. Oh, imagine that. I mean, I'm not medically trained. I don't have initials behind my name, but God, passing a hearing test, let me just look in your ear canal. Let me just take a look.
Yeah, so maybe it's got a Hot Wheel in there. I don't know.
Oh, well, and then this medical professional is telling me how you wouldn't believe the things I've pulled out of people's ears when we flush them. You don't say. So she's like, well, let me go check. Like, I think she had to go get the clearance from the doctor to actually flush my daughter's ears. Cause I'm like, look, either you're going to do it, I'm going to go home and candle them and hydrogen peroxide them and suck them out, and we will handle this on our own. But why I'm here, why don't you just do it? So she came back with this nifty little ear cleaning system and flushed all the wax out of my daughter's ears. And she said, it's clean wax. It's not bad. It's not infected. And my daughter happens to have very narrow ear canals. So this is a common thing for her, for the earwax to not drain like it normally would, like if you got like a big honking ear canal. So yeah, we're good now. We cleared all the wax, and the hearing is good. So but I sit there in awe of that experience and think, Mother of God, I have a degree in marketing and advertising, and I don't even know if that really means anything, but I sure as shit know that if you're not passing a hearing test, let me just take a look in the ear first and see what we got going on there. And then, like I said, if she wasn't going to handle it in the office, I have tons of tools in my tool bag. We will handle it at home. Because
my question here is, if you said this was the second time she failed the test, and since she failed it this time, they wanted to check it again in 30 days.
Yes.
Did they want to tell you what might change in 30 days that would make that hearing test better?
I have no idea.
Go home and do this. Go home and try this.
Nothing. No. So, and then the second time, this Monday, when she failed it, then it was, well, we need to refer you to an ENT where they have more sophisticated equipment to check the hearing. Okay.
Better
so
eyes?
let me just keep wasting my time to see professional after professional. Like, could you just look in her ear? And I even told her, I said, and if you see that it's infected, I'm going to tell you right now, don't write me a prescription because we don't use antibiotics for that. I will handle it at home. You know, of course, you get like the side eye. And I'm like, whatever, lady, she's 9 and I've been doing it her whole life and we're good.
Yeah.
So,
I can't, well, yeah, wow. And this just goes to prove the point and the point of this video today. It
yeah.
just does.
And then again, this is where ask questions. Most people would have taken that diagnosis of she failed twice, you got to go to an ENT, and not ask any more questions and just went about their day. And oh, okay, we're getting somewhere. Now I get to see an ENT. Like, no, ask questions. You know, continuing along the ear trend here, both of my kids had swimmer's ear. I think it was 2 years ago now. And it was to the point where it was very painful. They were up all night. I was up all night. I'm like, oh, blah, 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 blah. So I go to the, what do you call them? Like an urgy, whatever. And I really only took them in so that they could look in the ear and tell me what they saw. And then I would go home and handle appropriately. Right. So the doctor gets, yeah, they're, you know, they're inflamed. There's fluid stuck, whatever, in her ear canal, this, that, and everything else. And, she gives me a prescription and sends me on my way. And I'm like, well, whatever. So I'm looking at this prescription and I recognize the name of the antibiotic from the fluoroquine family. And I just so happen to know, am I allowed to be saying all this?
Yeah.
I just so happen to know a friend
Let
who's
me
had
just put a disclaimer in, anybody watching this, this is for entertainment purposes only. Neither of us are medical professionals or doctors, and we're not here to give medical advice.
No, I feel like I need to honk my clown horn. I need props. So I just happen to have a friend who has documented and shared information for years on the adverse effects of taking the fluoroquine, I believe it's called, classification of antibiotics. So I get home and I was rather perturbed at this because at that time my kids were 7 and 9, like they're very young. Is this necessary to expose them to something with a known documented history of adverse reactions? And I called the urgent care and asked them to have the doctor call me back. And I said, look, I'm not comfortable filling this prescription. I wasn't going to fill it anyways, but I wanted to talk. And I said, I'm not comfortable filling this. I'm aware of the adverse reactions. What else can you give me? What are my other options? And so she went on to prescribe me an eye drop instead of an ear drop, because it's a different classification of antibiotic, but it is much gentler, more safe, if that's a thing. Doesn't have the history that this fluoroquine classification has. And then went on to tell me when I persisted further, and I told her, you know, I really don't care to even give this. I know this is ultimately going to run its course, take care of itself. I have holistic remedies at home that I like to use. Then she decided to share with me about garlic mullein oil, and it's it's natural. I can use that to help pop the fluid that is stuck and inflaming everything, to help pop that out of the ear. And then moving forward, it would be a good idea to just drip that in my children's ears before they swim to help coat it and protect, and just continually have that.
Uh-oh, we're losing Allison. Let's see if she makes it back on.
Action of popping the fluid out. No, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, you're back. Yep, you're
Okay.
back.
I don't know what happened. I didn't see that on my, oh wait, it's telling me my connection is unstable. I have no idea why. Am I still here?
Yep.
Okay. So we
probably
went
being
from,
attacked. We're being attacked electronically for sharing such things.
I'm going to be like my dad and put a Post-it note over my webcam. Anyways,
Ours is always, Dave has ours taped. He has.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I need to do this, except not right now. So anyways,
Not right now.
I guess we went from a horrible class of antibiotics with a laundry list history of degrading side effects that you want to administer to my children under the age of 10 for something that is going to course correct itself and can move along faster if you have the knowledge on how to holistically move that along. Then we went to a lesser intense drug to oh, you know what? You can just do this and you can go buy it at the drugstore. No shit, Shirley. Thanks so much. But my whole point in that is, again, had I not questioned, where would I be today with my children? I mean, my daughter, especially with her narrow ear canals, is prone to issues when summer comes around and she's swimming a lot. Good God, could you imagine if I continually made it a revolving door of going to the doctor, getting prescribed that fluoroquine antibiotic, and
They
now
like people like that.
oh yes, but I just like God, I just can't even put this into words, but I just am, it is dumbfounding to me what I could have done to my child with the best of intentions. But because I just took everything at face value, I took everybody for their word. I'm not saying these are bad people. I'm just saying it is my human right to question, and I did. And look where it got me. So, I don't know what the moral of this story is other than getting me all hot and bothered, but question, and yes, as a mother, my intuitiveness to do that is times 1,000. Would I have questioned that before I had kids for myself? I don't know. I can't tell you that. Probably at some point, yes. Watching the trajectory of my life and the way that I've evolved, yes, I probably would have. But I can tell you that for me as a mother, that was just something that became a heightened awareness. And I question everything times 1,000.
Well, you're telling that story right now is making me sit here and think of people I know in my age category and younger who have a hearing aid.
My husband went in for a checkup because he turned 40 last year. And I thought, you know what, let's just go get like your blood work and let's just, have a handle on, have a handle on the markers and know where you're at and what we're dealing with. And they were stunned that he was on no medications at 40 years old. Stunned, like dumbfounded.
Uh-huh.
And that infuriated me. How is that okay? That it's like shocking.
That you're healthy?
Oh, I just can't. So I'm going for that same kind of appointment tomorrow, and I just can't wait to see how this all unfolds.
Wow. I can't. Yeah, you're going to have to come back and tell us what kind of, medicines you're lacking.
Oh my God. What kind of drug companies am I not,
supporting?
Am I not supporting financially by being a healthy human? The audacity. Huh.
Wow. Yeah. That is, wow. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I told you this is going to go in 900 directions because it is such a soapbox for me.
Well, I mean, you're sitting here telling a story about a medical professional, people that have spent thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, that have had a lot of training, a lot of schoolwork, a lot of clinical hours. And yet at some point in time, all that was needed to do was to stop and look inside an ear, which to me, again, goes back to, that's a critical thinking skill, and somehow we've lost it.
Yeah, I mean, if I could buy one of those pieces of equipment myself to look in my children's ear, and maybe I should look into that.
I think what is that, an audioscope?
Yeah, audioscope, something like that, otoscope. Clearly, my medical training is showing here. Yeah, I would, I would take a course in reading the inner ear canal and just freaking do it myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that is crazy talk, but
crazy.
It does though go back to the examples we've given. So I'm going to say this here because me and you, as you can believe it or not, are going to be almost 10 minutes towards an hour of a video again, which is okay. But so I say this, let's in wrap up, I think because I remember seeing the pictures. You should tell the story because I know a lot of people have experienced this of the blowtorch in your husband, um,
Yes.
and talk about that a little bit and some things that you did and used. And then we will return with a more less storytelling and maybe more actual things to have on hand in your home for a myriad of issues. How about
Okay.
let's do
Okay.
that.
All right.
Let's do that.
So a few years back, my husband burnt this part of his hand right here with a blowtorch at work. And he came home. He called me on the way home and said, I burnt myself. Get your first aid kit ready. And I don't remember if it was that same day or the next day that we were leaving to go visit my aunt in New York. So quite frankly, at that time, my children were very young. I didn't have time to go sit in an ER all night. And my husband, luckily, is not one that, that's not like his first choice. He'll doctor things up himself. And so as he was driving home, I prepared a spray of a carrier oil with heliochrysum and frankincense in it. And then I grabbed some just cotton gauze type of, whatever to stick on the skin. And then we like to use vet wrap, which is for the horses when they have something that needs bandaged. But it also works really well for humans, and it's just less expensive and you get more in the roll. So he came home and I'm trying to think, did he run it? I don't even know that he ran it underwater at that point because it was so raw. It had to have been close to a 3rd-degree burn. And we just spritzed it with the spray I made of frankincense, heliochrysum, and the carrier oil. And then we put the gauze on it, we wrapped it up, and that is literally what we did for a week, probably a week straight. And whenever he was participating in an activity where he could unwrap the hand and let the skin breathe, he did that. So like, obviously, like just watching TV or whatever, when he went to work, he would wrap it to keep it clean. And he has no scar on his hand.
Wow.
It healed, it never got infected. And we had people very angry with us that are close to us that said he needed to go directly to the emergency room, that needed to be scrubbed. And in my mind, I'm like, that is gaping open flesh. Why are you scrubbing it? That sounds horrific to me.
Mhm.
So, we had that.
That's what they do to
thought.
burn victims. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I don't know, maybe there is a scientific medical reason that needs to be done to certain cases. But in this scenario, looking at his hand, all I could think was that sounds horrendous and unnecessary.
Yep, absolutely.
So we just continued to spray with my homemade spray, wrap, let it breathe and have fresh air and sunshine hitting it whenever possible. And it healed up completely. It healed very nicely. He has no scar on his hand, which is quite shocking. And again, another case of having to grow a backbone, stand firm in your own intuitive feelings, beliefs, etc. And we came out just fine.
Look at that.
And we had no trauma to the skin by scrubbing and cutting, and I don't even know whatever else they do. And, annihilating our gut because they probably would have given us a prescription for an antibiotic and,
Yep,
just,
absolutely.
oh, yes. So many experiences. I've had oral surgery and not required antibiotic because I sought out the right kind of doctor.
Yeah, that's
So.
yeah, that's another, a topic or addition to our discussion. Are different medical practitioners, healing type.
That's a good topic.
Yeah, that people can incorporate because depending a lot of times what our issue is, it takes a whole body approach. Sometimes, a burn, obviously we're going to the burn, but when you start looking at other things that can happen to the body, it needs a full person, whole human approach for long lasting benefits. And, that brings, I wanted to say, talking about the couple instances that you discussed with us and that people need to understand, I think, is that when things like that occur, it's also an attack on your immune system. It can lower your immunity. So a lot of people think about, as we're moving into fall, this is when people get interested in keeping their immune system on high or working well or whatever. And that's kind of like a fallacy. The immune system should be worked on 365.
Yep.
And a lot of times, we make choices that lower it. We go out
Sure.
and have a wild weekend out of partying, or we have a holiday of junk food. Again, all
Sure.
these things lower the immune system. But something to keep in mind, even as we're having acute medical situations, you want to, because that immune system is going to it's going to go and localize to wherever the problem is, to the burn, to the ear, to whatever. It's faculties are going to go there, and then maybe not be so present to help with other parts of the body where issues can occur. But if your immune system is being sustained well, it's going to help keep the body protected in its entirety while it's fighting whatever that is. So
Yep.
if you get an injury like that, you get something that requires first aid, and you also decide that because you're sad or it hurts or whatever, that you need a piece of cake and a Mountain Dew. Probably not some of the best choices. These are the times when you have to make better everyday choices with the nutrition, the supplementation, lifestyle choices. These are the times that those choices should be most important.
Absolutely.
To help kind of make the whole body, and you'll heal, like you said, faster, better, less scarring, less pain, because inflammation won't be present. You are giving your body more of a chance of even a better outcome than going to a doctor, because what I see a lot of times is people go to a physician for something and they get a prescription or a medication with no other guidance. We don't talk about your nutrition. We don't talk about your water intake. We don't talk about that you should elevate, or that maybe you should walk, or you should do this. And so you're left to your own devices. And a lot of times people make poor choices when they're injured, when they're stuck at home, they're stuck on a couch, they're off of work, they're whatever, because of these things.
Yeah.
And it is the time when we should be most, I don't know what the word would be here.
Conscious.
Yeah, of really, this is when we make better decisions.
Yes.
To our health.
I was just looking, I thought I screenshotted it and I didn't. So here I go again with a statistic that I'll have to go back and listen to again, but it was something about, people spend 8 years of their life slowly dying with their conditions and the things that they deal with. And the person that was talking said, die running, meaning like, be conscious about the choices you make and the company it keeps as far as your wellness is concerned. And why not die running? Why not wake up one day and die, but be in complete, health when you do, instead of,
8 years of misery before you die?
Yes. Yeah, basically that was the concept. And I thought, wow, that statistic, I'll have to go back and listen to it again, and I'll come back and I'll share it next time about what the complete verbatim statistic was. But I just thought, holy cow. And it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
My daughter has a teacher this year that has a lot of health issues, and we're into like the second week of school, and my daughter could tell me verbatim all of because the teacher talks about it apparently.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother.
I know
where people give. If you have something wrong with you and you give it power by constantly talking about it and focusing on it, it will take you over. And again, you can have as many drugs or surgeries as you want, and you'll never truly be recovered
You're
of that.
slowly dying. You're
Mhm.
just slowly dying, and you're encouraging it. You're like coddling your issues, just like the bee sting. I could have gave life to that bee sting by saying, cancel my plans, I'm on the couch all weekend.
Yeah.
But I decided to just say, well, this is inconvenient, but we're going to roll with it because I'm not canceling my plans.
Yeah, that's
So
again going back and treating the whole body. You're treating the spirit, you're treating the emotions, and that is what makes any acute or chronic issue have a different end result.
yeah,
It really
totally.
does. It
Yeah.
really does. Well, Allison, anything else you'd want to add here before we wrap up part A of series 3, first
No,
aid?
I should probably just be quiet.
I'm just gonna shut up. Just shut up. So we will probably, I would imagine, hopefully we will be able to at least get our second, who knows, it could turn into part B and C of series 3. We don't know. We'll see where it goes. We'll get on it and get the next recording together, and so we can upload that and kind of so people can get a picture of that quickly.
Yes.
And the one thing I'd want to throw in there, if anybody's local to us, it's coming up. I just want to throw it out there for people. This Thursday night, I think at 7 o'clock, I can double check the time. There's a local restaurant in my area called Mulligan's, and they keep gathering groups of like-minded folks, patriots, if you will, people that are pushing back on a lot of this crap we're seeing right now. And they keep getting some really interesting topics and speakers. And this Thursday, I cannot remember the gentleman's name. I apologize for that. I can put it in the comment section here of our video. But somebody's coming to speak about emergency preparedness. Now, I'm not quite sure he's going to be specific into what me and Allison are focusing on. He might be tapping on that. He could be talking about a lot of things. But I think it's information we've spent a lot of time avoiding because nobody
Sure.
wants an emergency. I think there's a piece of us in the United States who think that's never going to happen to us. What would I need to be emergency prepared for?
Yep.
Or the government's going to come in and air flight me out if something
They're
happens.
going to save you.
They're going to save me. I like saving myself and learning more about how to do that. So there will be this Thursday, so that's tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Mulligan's in Belden Village. If you need more information, please reach out. If you want to go, let me know. I'd love to have some company, but just could be an interesting topic. Maybe he brings something to the table we're not thinking about. Or
is this every Thursday that Mulligan hosts these speakers?
Every Thursday, and they've done this consistently over the last, I don't remember when the group started, but they have a group that meets there every Thursday, and the group is called We the People.
Oh, okay.
And they have talked about elections. They've talked about vaccines, about how to file affidavits, about, Constitution. They have been a really great source of just information, education with a group of like-minded people. A lot of times they just meet and talk topics, but they have been bringing in they've brought in candidates, people who've been running for different offices here in the state of Ohio. So they really are about bettering the community, just bringing
opening your eyes.
Yeah, opening your eyes of the things that are possibilities that maybe we didn't know or we forgot about.
Right.
Community, about how we have the power, we have the control over a whole lot of issues. It's really, and we've let other people again take that over and decide that for us and lead us when that is really not how it's supposed to be. We are accountable and we have control of that. So yeah, it's been really awesome.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to hit some of those up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, well, here we go. We're going just a few minutes over our hour. We're a talking group of gals. But we'll be back on hopefully by the end of the week to get what we said, the continuation or the next part up on first aid of our self-sufficient sustainability. So everybody have a super Wednesday. Finish your week strong, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Yes. Bye.